Sunny side up is one of the most direct ways to cook an egg, and also one of the least forgiving in terms of timing. The white cooks against the surface of the pan, while the yolk remains completely exposed on top. Because the egg is never flipped, heat only moves upward from the bottom, so the cook has to wait for the whites to fully set without letting the underside brown too aggressively. When done correctly, the yolk stays liquid and intact, while the white firms up enough to hold its shape on the plate. Over-easy eggs are structurally similar to sunny side up, but finished with a quick flip once the base has set. That short contact with the pan lets a thin layer of white cook over the yolk without actually solidifying the yolk. The result is an egg that looks more enclosed but still breaks open easily, releasing a fully runny center when cut. Over medium. This version extends the second side cooking time just long enough for the yolk to begin setting from the outside inward. Instead of flowing freely, the interior thickens into a soft, jam-like consistency that holds its shape more effectively. That change in texture makes over-medium eggs easier to layer into sandwiches or wraps without immediately leaking into surrounding ingredients. Over-hard. Cooked until both the white and yolk become firm throughout. After flipping, the egg remains on the heat until no liquid remains in the center at all. The final texture is more solid and cohesive, allowing it to function almost as a sliceable layer rather than a source of internal moisture. Basted eggs begin the same way as sunny side up, but they are finished using indirect heat instead of turning. Hot butter or oil is spooned repeatedly over the surface, or the pan is briefly covered, so steam can finish cooking the top of the white. This method sets the top layer gently while usually keeping the yolk soft underneath, reducing the risk of breakage that can happen during flipping. Scrambled eggs. Made by beating the yolk and white together before cooking, so they coagulate into a single mixture once heated. As the eggs warm in the pan, proteins tighten and begin forming curds that trap moisture inside. The size and texture of those curds depend largely on temperature and agitation, with faster cooking producing larger, firmer pieces, and slower cooking creating a softer, more uniform result. Soft scrambled eggs are typically cooked over lower heat with continuous stirring, so the curds stay small and glossy. They are often removed from the pan while still slightly underset, allowing residual heat to finish the cooking process. This produces a smoother texture that spreads easily, rather than breaking into separate chunks. Hard scrambled eggs remain over the heat until nearly all moisture has evaporated. The curds become fully set and matte in appearance, holding their shape even when mixed with other ingredients like cheese, vegetables, or meat. An American omelet is made from beaten eggs poured into a preheated pan, where they cook undisturbed until the base begins to set. Instead of being stirred continuously, the egg forms a single cohesive layer that firms up from the bottom, while the top remains slightly moist. Fillings such as cheese, vegetables, or cooked meats are added once the surface thickens. After that, the omelet is folded over itself into a half-moon shape. Direct contact with the pan often creates light browning on the exterior, giving the finished omelet a firmer outer layer and a more structured interior that is designed to hold additional ingredients. French omelet, cooked over lower heat, with near constant movement, so the egg sets into extremely fine curds rather than a solid sheet. The pan is shaken or stirred from the beginning of the cooking process to redistribute heat and prevent browning, allowing the proteins to coagulate more gently. Once the mixture reaches a soft, custard-like consistency, it is rolled into a smooth cylinder just before fully setting. The outside remains pale and uniform, while the interior stays slightly creamy. Frittata is prepared by combining beaten eggs with vegetables, cheese, or meat before any cooking begins, allowing the ingredients to distribute evenly throughout the mixture. The eggs are first heated on the stovetop so the outer edges can begin setting, then transferred to the oven, where ambient heat finishes the cooking process from above. This dual-stage method prevents the base from overcooking while allowing the center to firm up gradually. Once set, the frittata can be sliced into wedges and served warm or at room temperature. Soft-boiled eggs. Cooked in their shell for a relatively short period so the whites solidify while the yolk remains liquid. Because the shell insulates the interior slightly, heat moves inward more gradually than it does with direct contact methods like frying or poaching. This allows the outer albumin to firm up while the yolk retains a fluid, spoonable consistency that can be used as a sauce once the egg is opened. Jammy eggs. Boiled slightly longer so the yolk begins to thicken into a gelled consistency instead of remaining fully runny. The whites are completely set by this point, and the center retains a glossy, cohesive texture that holds its shape when cut in half. This intermediate stage between soft-boiled and hard-boiled is often used in composed dishes, where the yolk needs to stay intact rather than flow freely. Hard-boiled eggs are simmered long enough for both the white and the yolk to become fully firm from edge to center. As heat moves inward, the yolk transitions from creamy to crumbly and eventually sets into a dense, sliceable core. Rapid cooling after cooking helps stop residual heat from further tightening the proteins, which can otherwise produce a dry or chalky texture. Poached eggs are cooked without the shell in gently simmering water, so the egg sets through indirect heat rather than from direct contact with a pan. Once you crack an egg into the water, the outer white coagulates first, gradually wrapping itself around the yolk as it firms up. Because the egg is suspended in liquid, heat moves inward more evenly, allowing the center to remain soft while the exterior holds together. The final texture is tender, pale, and without the browning you get from frying, which is why poached eggs are often used in dishes where the yolk is meant to act as a sauce once broken. Eggs Benedict is built around the poaching technique, but served as part of a composed dish rather than on its own. Traditionally, a poached egg is placed on a toasted English muffin, layered with ham or bacon, and then finished with warm hollandaise, made from butter and egg yolks. When the egg is cut open, the liquid yolk combines with the hollandaise, creating an extra layer of richness that spreads across the bread below. The result is a balance between soft egg, a crisp base, and an emulsified sauce, which turns the poached egg into a more complete meal. Baked eggs, sometimes called shirred eggs, are cracked into small dishes with cream, butter, or cheese, and cooked in the oven instead of on the stovetop. Heat surrounds the egg from the sides as well as the top, allowing the whites to set more gradually than they would in a pan. Depending on how long they stay in the oven, the yolk can remain runny or cook through completely. Pickled eggs are made by peeling hard-boiled eggs and submerging them in a vinegar-based brine with spices, beets, or hot peppers. Over time, the acidic liquid penetrates the white, firming its texture and infusing it with a tangy flavor that contrasts with the richness of the yolk. The eggs are served cold, straight from the jar. Deviled eggs. They are made by boiling eggs until fully set, then halving them so the yolks can be removed, and mixed with ingredients such as mustard and mayonnaise. The mixture is piped back into the egg whites, which changes the final texture through mixing rather than further cooking. Shakshuka-style eggs are cracked directly into a simmering tomato and pepper sauce, where the surrounding liquid becomes the main cooking medium. As the sauce bubbles underneath, the whites begin setting from the edges inward. Covering the pan helps trap steam so the upper surface can firm up without overcooking the yolk. Egg foo young is a loose omelet-style mixture made by combining beaten eggs with ingredients like bean sprouts, shrimp, or pork, then frying everything together in a hot pan. As the eggs cook, the mixture puffs slightly from steam trapped inside, then settles into a thick, pancake-like patty with crisp edges. It is often served with a savory brown gravy poured over the top, which soaks into the interior and highlights how eggs can form a structured exterior while staying soft and absorbent inside. Egg styles are defined by how heat is applied and how long they are cooked. Let us know in the comments what we should cover next. Thanks for watching.